Good evening. This is All India Radio Kohima. I'm Nabin Pradhan with the evening news. The headlines. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu lauds farmers for achieving record planting of paddy despite COVID-19 pandemic. Union Home Secretary reminds all Chief Secretaries that there are no restrictions on interstate and intra-state movement of persons and goods. Nagaland's COVID-19 tally stands at 3,635 and Department of School Education and Literacy invites suggestions from school teachers and principals on national education policy. The details. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has complimented all farmers for their painstaking efforts in achieving a record planting of paddy and other crops despite COVID-19 pandemic. In a Facebook post, Naidu thanked the good rains and said Kharif sowing has increased by 8.6% as compared to the same week last year. He said agriculture is India's basic culture and is one of the mainstays of the economy. Naidu said it needs to be protected and promoted. Hailing the farmers, Annadata Sukhi Bhava, the Vice President said people should ever be grateful to the farmers who are toiling day and night, irrespective of nature's vagaries, to feed millions of people. Total area under paddy so far this year is 378 lakh hectares, nearly 12% more than the 339 lakh hectares covered in the same period last year. The planting area under pulses went up by 6.8% to 132.5 lakh hectares. Union Home Secretary has written to all the Chief Secretaries reminding them that there are no restrictions on interstate and intrastate movement of persons and goods. The letter draws attention of the states to Para 5 of the Unlock 3 guidelines. This para clearly states that no separate permission, approval or e-permit will be required for such movement of persons and goods for cross-land border trade under treaties with neighboring countries. The letter notes that, however, there are reports that local-level restrictions on movement are being imposed by various districts or states. The letter says such restrictions are creating problems in interstate movement of goods and services and are impacting supply chains, resulting in disruption in economic activity and employment. The Home Secretary said such restrictions amount to violation of guidelines issued by the Home Ministry under provisions of Disaster Management Act 2005. The letter requests that no restrictions be imposed and it should be ensured that the Home Ministry guidelines are followed. In Nagaland, 16 new positive cases of COVID-19 have been reported today. Health and Family Welfare Minister S. Pangnyupom in a tweet this evening said, out of 723 samples tested, 12 cases were detected from Kohima, 2 from Tuensang and 1 each from Wokha and Longlang. He added that necessary contact tracing have been activated. In another tweet, Pangny informed that 92 more have recovered, taking the total recovered cases to 2,166. Of the recovered cases, 72 are from Kohima, 18 from Dimapur and 2 from Peren. He said that all recovered patients shall be kept under surveillance. Health Department updated that of the 16 cases reported today, 9 are from the armed forces, 3 from returnees, 3 from traced contacts and 1 from frontline worker. The state now has a total of 3,635 cases, out of which 1,453 are active. So far, 8 have lost their lives. The recovery rate from COVID-19 has improved further and now it has reached 74.69% today in the country. During the last 24 hours, 63,631 COVID patients have recovered. With this, a total of over 22,22,000 people have recovered in the country so far. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is over 6,97,000. During the last 24 hours, 945 deaths were reported, taking the toll to 55,794. With a spike of 69,874 infections in a day, India's COVID-19 tally increased to 29,75,701. There are 6,97,330 active cases of coronavirus infection in the country. The case fatality rate continues to show a steady decline and now stands at 1.87%. India has crossed the milestone of conducting 10 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. You're listening to the news from All India Radio, Kohima. The Department of School Education and Literacy has called for suggestions from school teachers and principals from all over the country on how to take the implementation process of the National Education Policy (NEP) 2020 forward. In a notification, Principal Director, School Education Nagaland, Shanawaz C. informed that suggestions are being called on each theme of the NEP related to school education through a question-answer process. All suggestions received shall be examined by a team of experts from the NCERT. For gathering further information, if required, teachers whose suggestions are found useful for incorporating in the national curriculum framework or in the implementation plan shall be individually contacted. The Principal Director further informed that teachers and principals can visit the link innovateindia.mygov.in/NEP 2020 and register their details first. The dates for uploading suggestions by teachers are from 24th to 31st August. Former Finance Secretary Rajiv Kumar has been appointed new Election Commissioner. He will replace Ashok Lavasa, who resigned earlier this week. Kumar will take charge the day Lavasa leaves his office on August 31. Kumar's appointment comes at a time when the Election Commission is preparing to hold Bihar Assembly polls amid the coronavirus pandemic. A 1984 batch IAS officer of the Jharkhand cadre, Rajiv Kumar has over 3 decades of experience in public policy and administration across various sectors. He played a major role in merging 10 public sector banks into 4. During his 2.5-year stint as Financial Services Secretary, he took several policy decisions to promote responsive and responsible banking. Known for his bold moves, Rajiv Kumar undertook a massive 3 lakh crore rupees recapitalization of banks during his tenure. Power Ministry has advised all power generating and transmission companies to charge late payment surcharge LPS at a rate not exceeding 12% per annum for all payments made under liquidity infusion scheme. The financial burden on DISCOMs will ease out with this measure. In general, the applicable rate of LPS is quite high, despite the fact that interest rates in the country have softened over the last few years. The rate of LPS in many cases ranges up to 18% per annum and has adversely impacted DISCOMs during the lockdown phase due to COVID-19. The pandemic has adversely affected the liquidity position of all stakeholders of the power sector, especially distribution companies. Consumer Affairs Minister Ram Vilas Paswan has said that hallmarking of precious metals will be mandatory from 1st June next year. Paswan said this while launching the online system of registration and renewal of jewelers in New Delhi yesterday. He said that the best thing about the online system is that there will be no human interface in processing the applications. Now, jewelers can apply online and submit required necessary documents and fees for obtaining a license through this portal. Paswan said that the moment a jeweler submits the application with the requisite fees, he will be granted registration. The ministry said that with hallmarking of gold jewelry and artifacts becoming mandatory, the number of jewelers coming forward for registration is expected to go up to 5 lakh from the present 31,000. He said at present there are 921 hallmarking centers located in 234 districts of the country. The ministry informed that BIS is working on operationalizing the assaying and hallmarking centers in the remaining 480 districts by June next year. And to end the news, a reminder of the headlines. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu lauds farmers for achieving record planting of paddy despite COVID-19 pandemic. Union Home Secretary reminds all Chief Secretaries that there are no restrictions on interstate and intra-state movement of persons and goods. Nagaland's COVID-19 tally stands at 3,635 and Department of School Education and Literacy invites suggestions from school teachers and principals on national education policy. And that's all the news we have for you this evening. Good night.